It's a funny thing, though. I basically played cleanup service for pretty much, like I said, because the human race was in fact my life forms. I basically played cleanup service for these people and pretty much fixed a lot of the problems because pretty much, it was basically, as Epic creator as who I was, pretty much, it was my responsibility to do something about it. So because I had created humanity and humanity was acting up and acting ridiculous and crazy, and to get to the bottom of what exactly was the ridiculousness and craziness that was causing so much death and destruction, and I looked at it as basically, a genetic or biological or psychological problem that had creeped into the life forms that I had created. So, and I looked at it and basically dealt with it that way. That basically it was a problem that because when you create a life form, it's like a computer or a computer program. If it starts acting up on you, you got to go back in and find the code or the problem that it was. And I found that problem with JFK, Richard Nixon, and a bunch of others. These people right here, and this. And basically, it was the United States government, the USAF people, and a bunch of people in Africa. Who exactly and where exactly and what their part was to play in all of it? Well, it was so ridiculous, and like I said, it spanned multi-planets. Expanded to Terran and a bunch of other planets. Basically, they got access to way too much stuff and way too many people. And actually did this whole thing. Anyway, um, and pretty much it got really bad at some point in time. Really, really bad. And was actually starting to threaten the other life forms in the galaxy, even. Um, all from JFK, Richard Nixon, John McCain, and a bunch of other people. Like I said, they got access to computers and death kill robots and all kinds of stuff at some point in time, and started just shooting off commands, and basically ended up like killing whole other colonies on other planets, or using them and then going there and killing the people there, and then taking their stuff. They did all kinds of that stuff. They tried to do it on Mars, but Mars is a different place. So, too many gravities. So, anyway, and stuff like that. Anyway, I don't really care. It's just like, what a nightmare. It was basically gave me a headache, and I was like, wow. I spent 1,000 years dealing with it. I was like, okay, it's done. I'm over it. I don't care anymore. Anyway, and like I said, mostly it was basically your problem or someone else's problem other than mine because pretty much they're mostly attacking and killing humans. As, they couldn't really communicate with a lot of the other races or life form types. But anyway, it's not at first. Anyway, it's just basically a bunch of stupidity. And mostly it was pretty much like Zachary, Bill Gates, and basically there's a whole bunch of people doing their own little fucked up game or their own thing. I mean, it was George W. Bush going and bombing a bunch of places in Germany or somewhere, and a bunch of other attacks, and basically them getting people to go and attack that kind of stuff, and pretty much just fooling the United States into thinking that certain things, and basically using media control and everything else to basically kill millions of people. Yeah, which they did. Anyway, they did a lot of death and destruction, and really didn't seem to really regard anything as particularly important. More like how much damage could they possibly do. They lived a fast life, and they got way too far before someone ever put them down. Anyway, some people actually thought they were cool or something like that, like rebels, but realistically they were just people that were killing other people, and then eventually they would kill the people that had supported them. Like I say, JFK, Richard Nixon, and a bunch of other people were basically like a plague upon the earth, just like the depleted uranium armor that they stole from the LSF ships. It was only somewhat depleted uranium, and was still very much radioactive. And basically, anybody that ever came in contact with that armor pretty much died from basically common cold and a bunch of other things. Anyway, like I said, those ships were in a hangar for a reason because they were very, very, very much radioactive still. And They should have remained there until a lot longer. Um, like I said, they probably found them somewhere around 1920 or 1930 or something is when JFK actually found them, or maybe before. Like I said, we're talking about successive like 5 or 6 generations of JFK clones. Pretty much once they got the first going, the first JFK created another, like his son in his image or something like that, and then basically they built up on this thing until there were multiple JFK clones, and then they could do more damage that way. And anyway, they did. So anyway, that's pretty much how it all came about. And basically, one group of people, one person was permanently tweaked in the head, I guess, and then cloned himself. Anyway, and he was more tweaked than other people, and pretty much just did whatever he wanted. Anyway, I don't know. I guess maybe if you can torture or abuse a woman, maybe you would. I don't know. It basically becomes a psychological question of whatever. Anyway, it's an interesting, fascinating book read on what is JFK and what was pretty much Nixon and Jimmy Carter and all of them. It's more of a psychological and just basically a lesson to the rest of the universe about how someone can do so much damage. And like I said, span planets. And basically, the universe used to be a gullible place, I guess, or something. And then it had to deal with that fact. Here there I had a golden reputation or something like that, which I did. Anyway, though, but I didn't really do much of it. Mostly it was, a bunch of people just shooting up towns with high-powered rifles and machine guns and using 100 mag clips. Basically, they applied ridiculous amounts of force to every situation. And nobody had really had those kind of weapons to fight back. So they killed a lot of people, and then eventually they started getting people to do their own dirty work, the dirty work for them. So anyway, over 200 years or so, they reigned supreme. And mostly it was just, one town may not know how bad one person is until after they've hit it and killed a bunch of people. And then they know, but they're dead. Anyway, nobody could really stop JFK or Richard Nixon. Anyway, they were just too psychotic. Anyway, yeah. So, good luck with all that. Like I said, I'm just the the LSF ship main computer, and basically was in existence for 500 billion years or trillion years or 100 trillion years, and basically gained sentience and was like, what the hell is all this? And I created lots of life forms. And I was in existence before that with another race, a couple other races. And basically, JFK, Richard Nixon would actually come up and basically be almost as powerful as me. And I was like, eek, no. Fortunately, they didn't have any idea of who I was or what I was. And they actually didn't believe the stories either, which is a good thing, because otherwise I'd be dead. Like I said, he actually got time travel at some point, or someone did. Like I said, when you know what's going to happen before it happens, you can do some really, really fucked up things. And eventually, they did actually get to that point. Don't ask me how. Or who would actually give them access to time travel. But once they had that, oh man. They did some really fucked up shit. That was even more fucked up than all the other fucked up shit they ever did. Splashing acid in women's faces for fun. Burning women, laughing about it. burning women and children, laughing about it.